You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
The idyllic islands of Lakshadweep are brimming with a deep resentment against the Administrator Praful Patel. Other than the fact that Mr. Patel's decision to ease COVID norms has been blamed for a massive COVID spike in the islands, there's also a sense of disquiet amongst Lakshadweep's inhabitants over a slew of new policies that have been introduced by Patel since his appointment 5 months back. Some of the new contentious policies that are being criticized as quote-unquote undemocratic and anti-people include a ban on beef in the Muslim-majority archipelago. Second, a preventive detention law that makes provisions for detention without any public disclosure for up to a year. This, it must be pointed out, in a union territory that has one of the lowest crime rates in India. And then there's also the draft Panchayat notification which proposes that anybody with more than 2 children can be disqualified from contesting the Panchayat polls. While in the political front, several Rajya Sabha MPs and opposition leaders have written to President Quint criticizing Patel's autocratic style and urging the President of India to recall Patel along with his proposals. On social media platforms, the hashtag Save Lakshadweep has been trending as thousands of citizens have been trying to draw attention to what's happening in the islands. Although Mr. Patel says that it's all in the name of development, will his policies adversely impact the economic and the socio-cultural fabric of these islands as people are complaining? Are the objections raised against his proposals justified? For this episode, we spoke to Wajahat Habibullah, a retired IAS officer who's also been the former Administrator of Lakshadweep, also the first Chief Information Commissioner of India and the former chairperson of the National Commission for Minorities. And we also have senior journalist and author Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay and Sabith Jaisri, a native of Lakshadweep. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you. And I'm your host, Shorbori. Praful Patel's arrival seems to have disturbed calm waters ever since he took charge as Lakshadweep's administrator in December 2020 following the death of Dineshwar Sharma, the former administrator of this archipelago. Soon after his appointment on 18 January, Lakshadweep, which has otherwise been a COVID-free zone all of last year, reported its first case of COVID. By 24th May, this union territory that barely has a population of 70,000 people reported 6,847 cases. And largely it's Patel's decision to relax the quarantine measures after he took charge that has been blamed for the spike in cases. If the earlier SOP required a mandatory quarantine for those coming in from Kochi, while the second surge was wreaking havoc all around India, Patel changed the SOP to state that anyone who obtains a negative RT-PCR test 48 hours prior to travelling could enter the islands. But while the tiny cluster of islands have been battling COVID, Patel has been making numerous policy tweaks that has been sowing more and more apprehension amongst the islanders, starting with the introduction of a very questionable detention law in a place which has the lowest crime statistics in the country. While it's a matter of fact that jails and police lockups in Lakshadweep remain unoccupied for the most part, under the Prevention of Antisocial Activities Act, also known as the Gunda Act, any person can be detained without any warrant for a period of up to 1 year, and many are claiming that this law has been enforced to gag dissent and crack down on any kind of protests. And Sabith Jaisri, a native of Lakshadweep who's currently based out of Hyderabad, says that the enforcement of the Gunda Act came as quite a shock amongst the locals. He also says that locals are suspecting that there's a connection between the anti-CA sentiments on ground amongst some of the natives and the enforcement of this law out of the blue.
And then after coming to Lakshadweep, when you look at the crime rate in Lakshadweep, it's the lowest in the country.
Right.
I mean, I can't remember when about a murder case or something in Lakshadweep happened. You can check it. So we show the tourist, our jail as a tourist attraction. I mean, the empty jails are often a tourist attraction. It was featured in the Malayalam movie Anarkali and all.
I see.
So that kind of a peaceful and very, very non-violent, very welcoming kind of a community. So in a place like this, the admin came and passed Gunda Act. That was very shady. Even the people were surprised. Everybody, people in Kerala, everybody who knew about this, everybody who even visited Lakshadweep once was very surprised to know about this Gunda Act. So there is a rumor, not a rumor, actually what happened is when the new admin came to Lakshadweep, I think he saw a protest board or a billboard or something against NRC and CA. Immediately after seeing that, he ordered to find whoever placed that board and got them arrested.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, since then, this Quint Act was passed.
And it's a thing that happened, or is it a rumor?
It happened.
Okay.
It happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I asked him if the locals are feeling intimidated by such a law or if there's any visible dissent against Mr. Patel's policies, he said that in the recent past, some protesters were arrested. While some of those arrests were related to anti-CA protests, some arrests were also made over protests against Mr. Patel's relaxation of COVID norms.
So initially there was a protest a few months ago, I think 3 months ago. There was a protest 2 months ago, I think. Yeah. So when that protest happened, he ordered that everybody was ordered to arrest everybody who was involved in the protest.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying. Like, this Gunda Act implementation seems like a very planned thing.
Another very controversial decision is the draft of the Animal Preservation Regulation of 2021 that has provisions for a slaughter ban. This draft allows any competent authority to seize beef or beef products and can penalize anybody guilty of slaughtering, sale or transportation of beef with a fine of up to 5 lakhs and imprisonment of up to 10 years. When similar slaughter ban laws were enacted in Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, they were highly criticized for targeting the Muslim community, for being insensitive to the socio-cultural fabric of a population, and also affecting the agrarian economy that depends on cattle sale. And again, in the case of Lakshadweep, it has to be pointed out that 96% of the 70,000 strong population of the archipelago are from the Muslim community. Ironically, the ban on the use of alcohol has been lifted, citing tourism and personal freedom. This despite repeated requests to keep the ban in accordance with religious norms. So then, is the draft law really just about quote-unquote animal preservation? Senior journalist Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay says that there seems to be an attempt to introduce a Hindutva hegemony in Lakshadweep.
I see that these proposals are very unfortunate. I see these as an instance of trying to export the Gujarat and what has now also become the Uttar Pradesh model to a distant Lakshadweep, to extend, to establish hegemony over Lakshadweep, which is a very important, territory, both from the, biodiversity point of view and also from the environmental, as far as the ethnic, purity of the people of that island. So as a protected island from various aspects, we're trying to intrude into it and interfere it with a very center-oriented policies. A couple of things very objectionable. Most importantly, the decision to introduce a ban on beef, which to my mind is nothing but a kind of a Hindutva hegemony being established in a territory where there are 90% Muslim population. I am not saying that if you are Muslim, you should continue to, eat only beef. But, even Mahatma Gandhi had said that the Muslims, if they at any point of time, if they want to consider, deferring to the cultural sensibilities of the Hindus, they should do it on their own. It cannot be done by a legal or by an administrative process. Then we are interfering with the local culture.
But while dairies are being affected by this move, even the fishing community is facing the brunt of some of Mr. Patel's arbitrary decisions. Fishing, of course, is one of the primary sources of income for the locals, and Patel's administration has removed the temporary huts and the storage facilities, the boats and the net drying facilities built by the fishing community from the shores, citing it to be a violation of coastal zone norms. What is also quite bizarre is that his administration has also fired a number of Anganwadi workers along with contractual employees of the tourism, the animal welfare and the agricultural departments. But one of the proposals that seem to have drawn the most amount of outrage is the draft notification for the Lakshadweep Development Authority Regulation of 2021. This regulation gives the government, and I quote, powers to acquire, hold, manage and dispose of property, movable or immovable as it may deem necessary. End quote. And the quote-unquote development that the draft proposes allows for building, mining and quarrying activities for parks or commercial purposes to be carried out on the ecologically sensitive islands. And curiously, Mr. Patel even proposed for the broadening of roads under development when in fact Andrat Island, which is the largest island in the Lakshadweep archipelago, has an area of just 4.90 square kilometers. And amid the mounting criticism against Mr. Patel, the administrator has said that his intention is to bring development and to highlight tourism in the Union Territory. But looking at the arbitrary nature of some of his proposals, are the objections against him completely illegitimate? Lakshadweep's lone Congress MP Mohammad Faisal alleges that all these decisions were taken unilaterally by Patel. And Mr. Wajahat Habibullah, a retired civil servant who's also been the administrator of the Union Territory of Lakshadweep, says that laws in a democracy have to be passed in consultation.
Well, you see, the first thing is that when you pass a law, ours is a democracy. And when you pass laws in a democracy, you normally consult with the people concerned. You don't go ahead and in the solitude of your office prepare laws and start promulgating them. That is the first point. And in this case, nobody was consulted. Nobody. And of course, it has been said, I read an article somewhere of the administrator saying that, well, it's not the people who are objecting. Well, of course they're not objecting because nobody asked them. Right. Unless you ask for an objection, how are you going to receive one?
Speaking of Patel's developmental agenda, Mr. Habibullah believes that Mr. Patel has displayed ignorance towards the people of the islands and their needs to be able to bring about any development.
So as an additional charge, I would expect that normally the expectation is in government, which I have served in, the expectation is that the person will look after the job till a permanent person is allowed to come in. Now, he's been there since December. He knows nothing of the territory. He's had no consultation with the people. From what I know, and I'm in close touch with the people there, he goes there for 5 days in every 2 or 3 months. And on that basis, he comes out with laws, very comprehensive laws regarding the rights of the people in their property and how to bring about development. And does he even realize what is required of development? The fact is that the development needs of those island territories have been discussed at the highest level. There used to be an island development authority set up by Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. We met frequently thereafter, even in the time of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And that has considered and passed a whole framework for development of Lakshadweep. It was subjected to all kinds of highly critical analysis by the top experts, not only of India but across the world, because this is a fragile archipelago, as you know. This is a coral archipelago, which is ecologically extremely fragile and has been so identified by the UN. Now, that has been gone into in considerable detail. The kind of development that should take place has been gone into. And by expropriating the rights of the people in their property, how does the government expect to take it forward? It's only the people themselves who are the most sensitive to their own ecology who can be entrusted with carrying the development forward. And what do you mean by development? There is no poverty in the state. What is the poverty line that doesn't exist in Lakshadweep, whereas it does exist in Mr. Praful Patel's own home state of Gujarat. So I will say that Lakshadweep is already far more developed than his own home state. What development is he going to bring about there? It is an area which has rainwater harvesting facilities in every home. It has 100% literacy. It has solar lighting, solar power in every island. It has fast-moving boats for interconnection between the islands. It has a helicopter service between islands. Does he have helicopter services in every district of Gujarat?
So the question is, why did such measures come all of a sudden? What is it that Patel actually intends to achieve with these laws? One of the things that have come up in the growing call against Patel's administration is his close ties to PM Modi and Amit Shah. Unlike his former predecessors, Patel is not a civil servant. In fact, he's the first politician administrator of Lakshadweep, while also being in charge of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. But most importantly, he's also held several important portfolios in Narendra Modi's state government in Gujarat, including the portfolio of the Home Ministry. So how do we interpret Patel's move? Is this a reflection of what the centre intends for the Union Territory? Mr. Mukhopadhyay weighs in.
I think we must also try to understand that who is this administrator, what are his connections with the present regime at the center. Yeah, Mr. Praful Patel he's a BJP politician. And as we know in politics, nobody ever goes away from politics. You might be holding the job of a quasi-constitutional post like an administrator of a union territory. Nonetheless, you remain a politician at heart because you got a job because of your political connections. So Mr. Praful Patel, he's Praful Khoda Patel. He became a legislator for the first time in 2007. Now, immediately after that, Mr. Amit Shah, if you recall, started having problems with the police because of his involvement in, being accused of being involved in cases of false encounters. So Mr. Amit Shah had to resign. At that point, Mr. Modi inducted him into the ministry, handed him a huge bouquet of portfolios, including as a Minister of State for Home Affairs, something that used to be handled by Mr. Amit Shah at one point. So that is the connection of Mr. Praful Patel, who is straight away a person who's worked extremely closely with Mr. Modi, and he's obviously doing these things with complete clearance from Mr. Modi. His performance as an administrator in Lakshadweep has also not been very good.
As to the question of will President Kovind consider rolling back the contentious laws, we'll have to watch out for that, so follow the Quint for updates on the story. If you like listening to this episode, please subscribe to the Big Story playlist for episodic updates. We're live on Apple, Google Podcast, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website and check out the podcast section. For any feedback, shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.